Today on GardenFork, learn how to make gravy. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome to GardenFork. Today we have one of my good friends, Erica, Chef Erica Wides.
Hi.
And with the holidays coming, I always kind of freak out about trying to make a sauce or a gravy. And I was talking and I said, would you come on and show us how to make this kind of thing?
Yeah.
And you know better than I do, so what the heck?
Okay, so you roasted this chicken.
Yeah, so being prepared, I roasted this last night.
You followed
and
instructions.
you told me to put in diced onion, chopped up carrots, and chopped up celery. And
Right.
is that called a mirepoix?
Mirepoix. Yeah. Yes, it's mirepoix.
Let's do a little time machine. So you've pulled your turkey or chicken out.
Yeah.
You've got it in your roasting pan here. And then you're like, oh, how do I make gravy?
How do I make the gravy?
And then you
What
go
do I
to
do?
GardenFork and you learn by watching this video.
Exactly. And then you go to Let's Get Real and you listen to the show after.
Big plug.
Little plug. Not too subtle there. Yeah. So we roasted our chicken on your mirepoix. Now, when I got here, you said, oh, I roasted the chicken and it's great, except
I burned it.
I burned a little bit of the mirepoix. See that?
The dark part.
Yeah.
Not unusual for Eric.
Not unusual, I guess. It's not a big deal. So we're gonna take the chicken out. You don't want to damage the skin, so you never grab it like this. You do this.
Right into the body
Right
cavity.
in, and then you can also drain out, see all that precious bodily fluid.
That's flavor.
Yeah. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do like a little bit of like a surgical strike here, and we're gonna take out the burnt stuff. There's a fine line between burnt and deeply caramelized. Now, if you look really closely at what's going on in here, you can see we have liquid, and the liquid is made up of fat and juices from the chicken. Okay, now what we want to do is actually cook the water out of those juices.
You always say this on your show, but cooking is basically about removing water from food.
Yes! Oh, you have such a good memory. Yes, that's from my old show,
Yeah.
Why We Cook, not my new show.
But people could listen to that.
But yeah, you should listen to that
There's
because
a whole
that's
back
an excellent.
catalog.
What we want to do is force the water out of those juices because, as you reminded me, I have said before, cooking is simply a matter of removing water from food. That's it, if you think about it. Water has no flavor, so you want to take the water out. So we want to start stirring this around. And what we're going to do here is cook this until we don't see any water in here anymore. And this is called clarifying the fat in the pan. It's like if you've ever made clarified butter. It's the same idea. You ever made clarified butter?
No, but we're going to make butter on GardenFork. We're going to.
Oh, cool. I love making butter.
A bunch of people asked
That's
for that.
awesome.
It smells.
It smells so good.
Très bon.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
French.
Yeah, I got that. Mais oui.
So you were on Chopped on the Food Network.
Yeah, I was.
Was that a
long time ago?
quite a trip?
It was pretty intense.
I would choke.
Yeah,
I'd make grilled cheese sandwiches.
You probably win. It was crazy.
I'd make them with mayonnaise.
It was pretty intense. So you'll notice now when you look at it, it doesn't have that like broken salad dressing look really
Right.
anymore. It's basically just fat and all these little brown bits that are starting to stick to the pan come from those juices that have now evaporated and caramelized.
Okay.
See that? And
Because the temperature of the pan is able to rise because the water is gone.
exactly, right. Once the water's gone, we can
science
go.
show.
It is. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is you see we have a decent amount of fat in there.
Yep.
And we want to make our roux out of that fat and some flour.
Our producer Sarah brought the flour because I didn't have any.
You don't have any flour? You don't bake? Or you just didn't have any flour?
It's a long story.
Okay, I won't ask. Okay, so we're going to take some
Do I
flour.
make a good assistant?
Excellent, yes. Okay, I'm going to use like a tablespoon here because that's about a tablespoon of fat.
Okay.
And I'm just going to sprinkle it over the...
And the burner is turned off right
I turned it off just, you know, for safety because this is a fairly thin pan too. Like if we
Right.
were using like a heavy cast iron or roasting pan, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but I want to make sure. So that's about enough. And then I'm going to turn this burner back on. It's this one right? Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Nice and low-ish. And just start stirring that and making our roux. And the reason I sprinkled it around is because I don't want any clumps.
So you're constantly moving the flour oil mixture around?
Yeah, I want to mix that around now. And I also want to start scraping up that fond. And you want to get that fond scraped up before it starts to burn. because at this point it can burn because things are getting very hot in there. And then what we're looking to do here is toast the flour. And see, the flour is going to start to turn a little browner.
Yeah, it's getting kind of tan colored.
So you could use like a little bit of wine here, or dry sherry is nice, brandy, cognac, anything like that. You know, apple cider, anything. Speaking of, what's that?
Hard cider.
Hard cider.
I don't really want.
Perfect for Thanksgiving. Let's open it up. Okay, so we're gonna add a little bit of cider to that. Maybe like a quarter cup. Oh, there we go. And then I'm gonna turn this back on. Now, if we were using, before we all start, you know, drinking here, if we...
Oh, that's good. So the alcohol is absorbing and releasing some flavor compounds?
Yeah, so the flavor molecules that are alcohol soluble are now being dissolved and released.
Oh, dissolved into the liquid.
Dissolved into the liquid, and also the volatiles in them are accessible as smells now to us too. Plus we'll get the flavor and the smell of the cider with a little bit of sweetness, which is nice. So we want to bring it to a boil. If you add some alcohol, you want to bring it to a boil because you want to burn off the actual alcohol now.
Because the alcohol's done its work.
The alcohol's done its work, and you don't want the flavor of the alcohol in there. It doesn't
Right.
really taste good, so you want to kind of burn it off. Now, if we were using something more volatile, like with a higher alcohol content, like brandy or sherry, you'd want to be really careful that this doesn't flambe. Yeah, especially, you know, with your wooden ceiling and your
Yeah.
wooden cabinets and your new kitchen. Yeah. So you see what's going on here now? Like, that's super deliciousness right there in the pan.
It
and
looks great.
The cider is cooked out, and we're good to go. And it looks really good, and we've gotten most of our little bits up off the pan. So now we'll add your homemade chicken stock.
Yeah.
Right there.
I put it in this box.
Yeah, you have a Tetra Pak machine. You can add more than that. And at this point, you know, you decide sort of how much you want to make, but you need to make sure that your ratio between the roux and the stock is good. You want about 2 ounces of roux per quart of stock. So what's kind of cool about this is if, you know, we look at this now and I think, well, it's a little bit loose, it's a little thin,
Right.
but that's because the roux hasn't had a chance to activate. In order to activate that roux, we have to bring this to a boil.
Because I always choke. I put in the flour or something, and immediately I'm like, oh, it's not working.
Yeah.
And so I have to give it time, is what you're saying.
Time, yes, boiling.
I learned.
Boiling is like the little key that unlocks the thickening
The
power
thickening agent of the flour.
of the
thickening.
roux. Yeah, the starches in the flour. So, but what's great about this is there's kind of a lot of leeway in case, you know, if we make this and we cook it for a while and we go, it's not thick enough, just cook it some more. Because you'll just cook out the water.
Right, right.
Right? And if we make it and it gets really thick, you just add stock. That. And you can also see now how clean the pan is. See that? Yeah. So all that fond and all the brown crusty stuff is gone. So you bring that to a little boil, and then we'll lower it to simmer, and then let that cook for a little bit. And then once it's at the consistency that you want it at, that's when you add salt to taste.
Salt at the end.
Yeah.
While this is boiling, do I keep stirring it or can I just let it sit?
You can stir once in a while. Because the roux is in there, you can have a situation where the flour particles precipitate to the bottom and they can burn. So you do want to stir a little bit once in a while until those flour particles completely hydrate. They suck up all that liquid and then they stay in suspension. So let's let that simmer for like 2 minutes and then we'll taste it and we'll check the consistency.
All right, so we'll go watch the Labradors play.
Okay.
Here we go.
Or not. Do something. Wow, that's good. The apple flavor really comes through. It's so good.
How cool is that?
I'm staying. Now I would add a teeny bit of salt to this. I don't think it needs much because the stock had some salt in it.
Gravy, gravy.
There's one more ingredient.
Oh,
There's one more thing. What do chefs love to add to their sauces at the end?
butter.
Butter. Perfect. And I mean, you thought it was delicious before. Now, hold on to your socks. Oh, that's really good. Oh my God. I'm coming over for Thanksgiving.
This and a grilled cheese sandwich?
Yeah, that's all you need, right?
That is amazing.
Yeah. Pretty delicious, right? You too can make easy gravy.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So you'll come
Always
back?
a pleasure. I would love to. Yep.
If you guys like what we're doing here, you want to hit the subscribe button. We post videos every week. You can find it. Where can we find about Erica?
Oh, go to letsgetrealshow.com. That's my website. You can listen to my show, Let's Get Real. It's on heritageradionetwork.com also. Also on iTunes. 170 episodes at this point on iTunes.
I'm going to be a guest.
Yeah, you are. Like, we're going to do
Maple
maple
syrup or
syrup
something?
show coming up shortly.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. So,
If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And the link to Erica's website will be in the About section here in the show notes.
okay.
All right, so go out and do
Great.
cool stuff.
Do
Come
cool
back and tell us
stuff.
about us.